What if the way you've been measuring your intelligence is completely wrong? Not your grades, not your test scores, not whether you were the smartest person in the room growing up. Because here's what the research actually shows. The people who are truly intelligent, deeply, genuinely intelligent, are often the last ones to know it. They second guess themselves. They overthink. They wonder if everyone else has it more figured out than they do. They assume everyone else has it more figured out than they do. And the people who never doubt themselves, who are always the most confident in the room, they're often working with far less than they think. Today we're going to change how you see yourself, because there's a very good chance you're more intelligent than you've ever been told. Think about how you were measured growing up. Tests, grades, whether you could sit still and memorize the right answers in the right order. That was the whole system. Perform correctly, score well, fit the mold. And if you were the kid who asked too many questions, who got bored easily, who felt things more deeply than everyone else, the system probably didn't have a lot of kind things to say about you. But here's what that system missed. Intelligence isn't one thing. It isn't a number. And the clearest signs of a genuinely sharp mind have nothing to do with how well you perform on a test. So let's go through them. And as we do, pay attention to how many of these feel familiar. Sign 1. You overthink everything. Most people treat overthinking like a flaw, something to fix, something to apologize for. But research in cognitive psychology suggests something different. People who overthink tend to have higher working memory capacity. Their brains are processing more variables, more outcomes, more possibilities simultaneously. They're running more complex software than most people around them. The problem isn't that you think too much. The problem is that nobody taught you how to direct all of that processing power intentionally. Because when you learn to aim it, that same overthinking becomes one of your greatest strengths. Overthinkers aren't broken. They're running more complex software than most people around them. Sign 2. You're intensely curious. You don't just want to know what happened. You want to know why. And then the why behind that. And then what that means for everything else. Curiosity is one of the most consistent markers of high intelligence across decades of psychological research. Not just curiosity about one thing, but a restless, hungry interest in how the world works, in people, in systems, in ideas that don't have clean answers. If you've ever fallen down a rabbit hole at midnight, because one question led to 10 more, that's not a distraction. That's your mind doing exactly what intelligent minds do. Sign 3. You can sit with not knowing. This one surprises people, because we tend to associate intelligence with having answers. But psychologists who study high-functioning thinkers consistently find something interesting. The smartest people in any room are usually the most comfortable saying, "I don't know yet. Let me think about that." They pause. They think. They don't rush to fill the silence with a certain sounding answer. Most people can't do it. They'd rather be wrong loudly than uncertain quietly. It takes genuine intellectual confidence to sit in the ambiguity, to walk across that gap without flinching. Comfort with ambiguity is a sign that your mind operates at a level that doesn't need false certainty as a crutch. You don't need all the answers. You never did. Sign 4. You feel things deeply. There's a long-standing myth that emotional people are less rational, less intelligent. That feeling too much gets in the way of thinking clearly. The research disagrees. Studies consistently link high emotional intelligence with higher cognitive ability. The ability to read a room, to sense what's underneath what someone is saying, to feel the weight of a decision before you can logically explain why. These are sophisticated mental processes, not weaknesses, not distractions, precision instruments, if you've ever been told you're too sensitive. What they may have actually been observing was a mind that processes the world at a finer resolution than most. That's not too much. That's more. Sign 5. You notice things others miss, small inconsistencies. The thing nobody said but everyone felt in a room. The detail in a story that didn't quite add up. Highly intelligent people tend to have what researchers call heightened perceptual sensitivity. Their brains are filtering less and noticing more, which can feel overwhelming. But it's also one of the rarest cognitive gifts a person can have. What you carry isn't a burden. It's a gift most people don't even know exists. if you regularly pick up on things that other people walk straight past, your brain is working harder and faster than you've ever been given credit for. Sign 6, you adapt quickly. When new information arrives that contradicts what you believed, you update. You don't dig in to protect the old version of yourself. You let the evidence change your mind. You don't hold the old belief tightly because letting go feels like losing. Psychologists call this cognitive flexibility, and it's one of the clearest markers of fluid intelligence. The kind that isn't about stored knowledge, but about how fluidly your mind moves through problems. Rigid thinkers hold their old beliefs tightly because changing feels like losing. Flexible thinkers understand that updating your position isn't weakness. It's exactly how a sharp mind is supposed to work. Sign 7, you've always felt slightly out of step, like you were watching things from a slight distance, like you processed the world differently from most people around you, and never quite had the language to explain why. This is one of the most reported experiences among people who score in the higher ranges of cognitive testing. Not arrogance, not superiority, just a quiet, sometimes lonely sense of being slightly out of sync with the people and environments around you. If you've spent your life wondering why you think differently, the answer isn't that something is wrong with you. It's that your mind works in a way that not everyone around you could see or name. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Intelligence isn't a fixed thing you either have or you don't. It isn't the grade you got. It isn't the classroom you sat in. It isn't the validation you did or didn't receive growing up. It's a collection of tendencies, ways of processing, ways of moving through the world. And a lot of the people who carry those tendencies have spent most of their lives being told they were too much, too sensitive, too curious, too intense, too in their own head. You weren't too much. You were just in the wrong room. The next time you doubt yourself, and you will, because that's also on the list. Come back to this. Your mind works harder than you give it credit for. It always has.